Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kenisah, and I'm pleased to present our research titled Driving Sustainability Through Knowledge. This study examines the role of green intellectual capital as a mediator between green knowledge management and green performance in Indonesia's manufacturing sector. This research provides insights into how businesses can leverage knowledge and intellectual capital to enhance their sustainability efforts. Let's begin. Background and research gap. Sustainable manufacturing has become a global priority, and Indonesia is committed to achieving net zero emissions by 2060. However, despite the growing importance of sustainability, the role of green knowledge management in improving green performance remains underexplored. Additionally, green intellectual capital has not been sufficiently examined as a mediator in this relationship. This study aims to address these gaps by investigating how knowledge management and intellectual capital contribute to sustainability in the manufacturing industry. Research objectives. To address this research gap, our study focuses on three main objectives. First, we examine the impact of green knowledge management on green intellectual capital. Second, we analyze the influence of green intellectual capital on green performance. Finally, we test whether green intellectual capital mediates the relationships between green knowledge management and green performance. These objectives provide a framework to better understand the mechanism that drives sustainability in the manufacturing sector. Conceptual framework and hypothesis. This slide presents our conceptual framework, illustrating the hypothesized relationships between green knowledge management, green intellectual capital, and green performance. Our main hypotheses are as follows. First hypothesis suggests that green knowledge management positively influences green intellectual capital. Second hypothesis proposes that green intellectual capital enhances green performance. Third hypothesis examines whether green intellectual capital mediates the relationship between green knowledge management and green performance. These hypotheses serve as the foundation for our research model. Sub-hypothesis. In addition to the main hypothesis, we further break down the relationships into sub-hypotheses. First hypothesis is divided into three components, examining how green knowledge management influences different dimensions of green intellectual capital, such as green human capital, green structural capital, and green relational capital. Second hypothesis explores how each component of green intellectual capital contributes to green performance. Lastly, third hypothesis investigated the mediating effect of green intellectual capital on the relationship between green knowledge management and green performance. Methodology. To test our hypothesis, we employed a quantitative approach using survey data collected from 83 manufacturing firms in Indonesia. The data were analyzed using structural equation modeling, a robust statistical technique for evaluating complex relationships between variables. The variables used in our study were adapted from previous validated research, ensuring reliability and validity. This methodology allows us to rigorously assess the impact of knowledge management and intellectual capital on green performance. Key findings. Our findings confirm that green knowledge management has a significant positive impact on green intellectual capital. Additionally, green intellectual capital significantly enhances green performance. Most importantly, our results support the mediating role of green intellectual capital in linking knowledge management to performance. Among the components of green intellectual capital, green structural capital had the strongest influence on green performance, highlighting the importance of organizational systems and innovation in driving sustainability. Discussion and practical implications. These findings have several key implications. First, companies should invest in knowledge sharing programs and training to strengthen their intellectual capital. Second, policymakers should integrate green intellectual capital into environmental regulations, ensuring that business develops structured approaches to sustainability. Lastly, since green structural capital plays the most significant role in performance improvement, companies should focus on strengthening systems, investing in green innovation, and enhancing sustainability-related infrastructure. Conclusion and future research. To conclude, our study highlights the crucial role of green capital in fostering sustainability. Companies should adopt knowledge-driven strategies to enhance their green performance. Looking ahead, future research could explore the application of these concepts beyond the manufacturing sector, such as in service industries. Additionally, emerging technologies like artificial intelligence and digitalization could further optimize green knowledge management, making this an exciting area for further study. Okay, that concludes my presentation. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Universitas Kristen Maranatha Bandung for their generous support in funding this research. Thank you all for your time and attention. I will be happy to answer any questions or discuss possible collaborations. Please feel free to reach out to me via email at jenscarolina@gmail.com. I look forward to your questions. See you again.